official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to INCRadio San Francisco. I am your host, Brother Vince Fortes from the local of San Ramon. It is a pleasure to be here today, and I hope that all of you are having a good day today. Today, we'll be talking about DIY emergency kits, and we actually have a amazing panelist here today to talk about it with us. So, would you mind introducing yourself, Brother Isaiah?
Good morning, bro. It's good to see you. Hello to everybody out there, all my brethren in the Church of Christ. I'm Brother Isaiah. I am in Burlingame, California, and I look forward to talking about this wonderful topic with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And it's a pleasure for you to be on this show as well. And for our viewers out there who are new to INC Radio, the ways that you can tune in are YouTube at INC Radio, DZEM 954. You can share the link and subscribe. Click the notification button for our show so that you will always be ready to watch our show as well. We also have social media, iglesianicristo news and updates on Facebook, as well as Instagram at INC News and Updates, and on Twitter, INC News underscore updates as well. So before we actually begin the show, we're actually going to go ahead and go on a little bit of a station break. So stay tuned.
You are listening to Iglesia ni Cristo Radio, the voice of truth.
With our earnest desire to share our faith, we cordially invite you to listen to the words of God upheld inside the Church of Christ through an evangelical mission on air and online. Brought to you by INC Radio South Korea Satellite Studio on February 18, 2024, 4 o'clock in the afternoon Philippine Standard Time, or 5 o'clock in the afternoon Korea Standard Time. We hope to see you then.
Communication, trustworthy, supportive, on time. Which among those qualities help in building good relationship at work? Find out the answers this Sunday, February 18, 2024 at 9 p.m. China Standard Time and Philippine Time as INC Radio Mikael Satellite Studio presents Way on How to Be Happy and Positive in Your Working Environment. See you there!
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to INC Radio San Francisco. And today we're going to be talking about DIY emergency kits. Now, I am from Texas, so I'm used to other kinds of emergency kits. So I'm not really used to what happens here in California. This is my first time ever talking about emergency kits in California. So this is going to be quite interesting, and I'm very excited because we actually have someone who is very familiar with emergency kits. But before we even get into that, I actually like to ask you, Brother Isaiah, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yes, bro. So I am in the military. I'm in the Army Reserve, and I've been in the Army Reserve for about 8 years now as a military policeman. So I'm very familiar with emergency kits or survival kits, as we might call them. I've also been scanned inside of the Church of Christ for the last 6 years since I've been baptized.
So have you actually made an emergency kit yourself, like built one yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question. I believe I have. It was years ago, just out of practice and just to get familiar with being able to make an emergency kit or a safety kit. But I've never had to do one in a real life scenario. So I've never had a chance, fortunately and unfortunately, right?
Right. So what are some items that are, good in an emergency kit when you're creating one? Like, what are some essentials that you need before, especially when you're in an emergency situation?
Most definitely, the number one thing would probably be like medical supplies. Like you never know what's going to happen in an emergency situation. So something as simple as band-aids to acetaminophen or Tylenol is imperative for you to bring along with you. Another thing that we cannot forget is food, because we don't know if we're going to have access to food depending on the severity of the emergency situation. You don't know if you're going to have access to groceries, right? So you always want to take food, and not just any food, but you want to take non-perishables like canned foods, something that's going to last a long time, depending on how long you're going to be in the emergency. So medical supplies, food is very important. Blankets, flashlights, matches, things of the sort. Anything that you can think of that could help you in a situation where you're not going to have like your phone and technology, or you're not going to have heating and AC in your house, you know?
Right,
So,
right,
yeah,
right. I completely understand that, especially when you're in an emergency situation. Sometimes even the internet goes down, so you can't use your phone. So,
right, right.
right,
So
right. That
maybe
makes
maybe take a pen and a paper too, so you can write letters to someone else.
to someone else, like, ship it in a sense, because there's no other way you can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so being in California now, there's I know that earthquakes are common here. In Texas and Dallas, it's tornadoes over there, so there's a whole different kind of emergency kit there.
Hmm.
But in your experience, what type of equipment is actually good to stock up on when there's an earthquake that happens?
Equipment that's good to stock up on is definitely, you always want to keep canned foods
Hmm.
available. I know in our time and age, we use it more in convenience, right?
Right,
Because you can just pop it open, throw it in the microwave, and eat it. But in a real life scenario where there might be an earthquake or even flooding that happens, right? That might not be as common here, but earthquakes are very common. So in that type of situation, you want to stock up on canned foods and make sure you always have medical supplies nearby.
yeah, I agree with that, especially when it comes to earthquakes. There's so many things that can happen, especially like things falling and everything. So
Hmm.
it's important to have. I feel like it is important to have medical supplies, especially when it comes to an earthquake, because even though you're under something, you could still potentially get injured with things falling
Yeah,
from different
yeah.
directions. So I completely agree with that. I've never experienced an earthquake myself, but um, in my experience, I have experienced being in a tornado watch and being almost caught in
Wow.
a tornado. So I've been in that. Do you have any tips on that when it comes to a tornado watch or anything like that?
Yeah, in California, it's not as common, but being in the military, I have traveled to so many states. And states like Missouri or Wisconsin, they also have tornado warnings, and they have shelters in place to proactively help people to shelter from tornadoes and situations of the such. So I would say, getting underground, or as far as underground, if you have like a basement or something like that, readily available, and not everybody does, and I understand that, but you want to make sure you're sheltering from anything that can fall on you, or even put you getting potentially lift up, right?
Right,
So,
right.
you know,
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And that's that's actually why it's important for our viewers out there, if you especially ever experience an earthquake or a tornado, a DIY emergency kit is actually very, very important, especially if you're not very used to those kinds of situations. It's very important to have those kinds of things. Speaking on those kinds of things, especially items that go inside an emergency kit, I understand you said that you need to stock up on medical supplies and home care supplies. What kind of items do you think is best suited? I know you explained pain medications such as acetaminophen, ibuprofen, all those. What else do you think should be input in the emergency kit?
yeah, bro, there's a lot, honestly. There's some that are, you can go on Amazon right now and even type in emergency kit or like safety kit, and it'll list off a bunch of things. But some of the most important ones are like, aside from like Tylenol and ibuprofen, like pain medication, is probably alcohol, band-aids, bandage wraps. You want to maybe even keep a scalpel on you, in those very severe situations where you might get shrapnel stuck in your leg, and you don't want it to stay there for too long because it can potentially get infected. you know, God willing, nothing like this. We never have to use something like this. But in this situation, which it's not impossible, right? So in a situation where it might happen, and in our lives it might happen, you want to have these things nearby or readily available to just grab and go in the one of those times.
Right, so nothing too heavy, essentially, nothing
Right,
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 nothing too heavy,
exactly.
anything that's just readily available. I like how you said that 'cause I know a few people that will have somehow have a gurney out of nowhere, hidden in their closet.
Yeah,
That's not the kind of emergency kit we're trying to go for.
yeah, yeah. Grab the
We're
gurney, let's go. No, no, nothing too heavy, nothing that's going to slow you down. Just something that you can just grab and go, such as a backpack or a pouch.
Mhm.
Right.
And these things can be readily available not just in your home, but even in, vehicles as well, right? You know, in your car as well, just in case. You know, God forbid it doesn't happen, but you can go in and get into a car crash. I feel like I need to have this. I don't have this in my own car. I need to have this. But when driving a car, what are items do you think we should keep in stock, especially when it comes to an emergency kit, if in case an accident happens?
Honestly, bro, it'll be the same items. I can't think of anything that I haven't listed before that you wouldn't keep also in your car while you're driving at the same time. For me, for example, for some reason, I'm like a bag connoisseur, so I have backpacks on backpacks in my closet right now. I think I have like 6 backpacks right now just in my closet. So I have extra backpacks to just stock with stuff that um, either I can find the funds to purchase the items at the store and just make sure it's available on the go, or just keep it in my car in the trunk of my car, you know.
hmm I totally agree with that. I actually just read a comment here from Sister Sophia. Shout out to Sister Sophia. She said one tip in an emergency kit is dog food if you have a pet with you. You
Ooh,
happen to have
I
pets?
like that. Yeah, yeah, I do. So I feel horrible now because I didn't think of her.
No, don't feel horrible.
But in an emergency situation, of course, they're considered family members, right? So
Right.
we want to make sure we proactively prepare for them coming with us at the end of the day, because not only am I grabbing the emergency kit, I'm grabbing her as well.
Yes. So it's important. You need to grab because you have to grab your dog out of the situation as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, I totally agree. So wow, that brings up a whole nother topic when it comes to
Yeah.
pet emergency kit. What to
Yes,
bring?
exactly. I mean, I don't know if we have any veterinarians out there, but maybe I should just get my doctorate degree so I'm prepared for any situation out there,
Yeah.
including and up to um, patching up my little one here.
Oh, she's there. Yeah, mine's currently crated, so it's pretty crated because she's sleeping. But in your experiences, like, were there any moments or instances in your life where you had to use an emergency kit that you've created?
Yeah, most definitely. So, in real world, or these aren't real world situations, but in situations where I've deployed, like overseas, and someone gets injured, I've had to use like, so it's actually something that we have to keep on us at all times. It's called a tourniquet, and that might also be something. I don't. For those of you who don't know what a tourniquet is, right? It's basically something that people use in order to stop a heavy flow of bleeding. Okay.
Mhm.
And they're usually put on like large limbs, like your arm, your leg. Okay, you can't put it like on your stomach or anything, but you can put it high and tight on your arm or on your leg, and you twist it tight enough so it stops the flow of bleeding. So that's something that we have to keep on us at all times. And in situations where I've deployed, I've had to use that on like battle buddies or soldiers that have injured themselves greatly.
Wow. Okay. So tourniquet.
Yeah,
Did you get
yeah.
that online?
Yeah, it's not just a military thing. It really is. It really is something that you can use in a real world situation that would probably also be a good thing to keep on you for any situation, to be prepared for anything.
I like that. I like how you put that. And actually, I kind of want to read the comments because there's so many tips that are coming in from the comments as well. I want your opinion on it. So, from Sheila Cruz, she says that batteries should be on the emergency list because it is on hers. Another tip is when your car battery dies, jump cables are also important just in case. And then we also have uh oh, shout out to we have a shout out from Kristen Tison saying, for the sisters who bring their own emergency bags. I kind of need that too. For our brothers out there, it's okay to have a bag. We don't have to have a purse. We can have a backpack filled with emergency.
But in an emergency situation, anything goes, bro. I'm not
Anything
looking at the
goes.
style of the backpack I'm taking. I'm looking at the contents inside of the bag that I'm taking. So
I
if it's
totally
a
agree.
Gucci or a Chanel purse, I'm taking it as long
Yeah.
as it has the supplies I need. That's all I'm saying.
I totally
But
agree with that.
I love this saying also in emergency situations. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it, because God forbid we get caught in a situation where we need band-aids or we need alcohol or we need Tylenol to stop the pain and we don't have it, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of other things that you can put on there too, like extra socks, extra underwear, extra clothes. Those are also important because you don't want to be caught for weeks at a time wearing the same thing. You start to get itchy.
Forget a sheet. Yeah, I totally agree with that. So, how does being prepared for any type of situation help you in your day to day? Now that we've kind of talked about it, how do you prepare for it? Like in your
um, Yeah, yeah. So just knowing that the impossible can happen because nothing is impossible. Okay. I think the best way that us as members of the Church of Christ can prepare is always praying before we leave the house, right?
Mhm.
Praying before we do anything because we need God for everything, right? So why wouldn't you pray before you do anything? And I remember I was in a worship service actually, a little side note, and I remember the minister had said something along the lines of, um, if you need God for everything, why wouldn't you pray for everything? Right?
Mhm.
Something even as simple as like tying your shoes.
Right.
Something, right? Something as simple as making a call to your loved one. Praying. Just something. A prayer doesn't have to be 10 minutes long. It could be a short few seconds as long as you're saying the right things,
Mhm.
right? But and God wants to hear from you. But I think the best preparation that we can do is praying before any situation because anything can happen at any given moment in time.
Thank you for your answer. I totally agree with that. And for our viewers and out there who enjoyed some of the tips, go ahead and write them down. When you're you know God forbid you get into a situation like that, at least you'll be prepared. Have a backpack, have all of the items that we discussed, the pain medications, the bandages, the alcohol to clean those wounds, a tourniquet. I don't know if that's online, but we'll figure it out.
It probably will be, bro. Hey, you can
It
buy
probably will
anything these
be.
days on Amazon.
Yeah,
Shout out
a
Jeff
tourniquet,
Bezos.
all these, yeah, all of these. And if you are not in the Bay Area, if you're not in California, in another state, look up the emergency kits there. They may be different from what we have here. But in essence, at all times, continue to always be prepared for emergencies, even if it's very very small, whether it's because your car battery died, or because you're in a car crash, or even as simple as it's dark and you need light. So it's dark and you need light. Sometimes an emergency flashlight is always comes in handy. Before we end the show, sadly we're about to be only 10 minutes into the show. I'd actually like to uh, see some of the comments that we have. So from Royal David, we have good morning, brethren from NWC. We also have one from Brother Walton Flores saying, good morning, everyone tuning in from the congregation of Milpitas. We have one from Jordan Enrique. Happy viewing. Go NWC. We have one from Joanne Guillermo saying, good morning to all viewing from San Jose local congregation, the Guillermo family. We have one from Jesus Gama who says, good morning, everyone watching here from the local of San Pablo, area 11, and says, happy birthday to Sister Destiny Rose Maliari. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. And we have one from again from Joanne saying that we've been using flashlights lately because of the recent blackouts we've had the past weeks. That is very very true. When it comes to rain here, it's crazy how much rain we have. And then it does cause a lot of blackouts. So yes, a good emergency flashlight. So when you have blackouts like that, it's very very good to have emergency lights that don't need plugs. They just need batteries. So another thing I'm glad someone said that. We have one from Jay Reyes saying, I'm not sure how to say Vivencio Parto Jr., Locale San Pablo, District of Northern California. Happy viewing. We also have one again saying from Joanne saying cold packs, especially for those with little kids. Shout out to Joanne Guillermo. She's giving us a lot of items. She's
Oh yeah.
giving us a lot of items. Shout out to you for giving us a lot of items that are related to emergency kits. We also have one from Christine Yap saying, check expiration dates and cycle through the cans to keep it current. Musubis and corned beef rice, and get a life straw. Oh, a life straw. Oh,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's a good one right there.
yeah, that's a very good one. And then we also have one. Oh, how much is too much for an emergency kit when you can no
Ooh.
longer carry it? In my opinion,
Ooh.
yeah,
Well,
I feel
you have to be mindful that in an emergency situation, you're going to be using the items as you go, right? And
right.
as you need. So it's not going to remain that weight or that size. You're going to be using the items inside. So it's going to get lighter.
Yeah,
But I
it's
don't
gonna get
think
lighter.
I think it's on a situational basis because for myself, I'm 200 pounds, right? So I can carry a lot more than someone that's half my size, right? So
Right,
it's all situational based. I could carry a lot more, and I've walked for 18 miles at a time with 50 pounds on my back, so I'm used to training like that, right? So for me, I could carry a lot more things, or even be the designated person to carry everything, right? But
right,
for someone else, it might be a little different because they can't carry as much.
right. I totally agree with that. And that's actually a good tip when creating your emergency kits. Don't make it too heavy for you to not be able to carry everything, because then it
Yeah.
becomes useless.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And we don't want that.
Right, right. And I, uh, yeah. So that's actually all the comments that we have, and I'm actually surprised at how many comments and so many people are active in the chat right now.
I love
To
that.
Christina Yap, I'm actually curious when it comes to musubis and rice and corned rice beef. Um, corned beef rice. Sorry. When it comes to these emergency kits, I noticed that there's a lot of canned foods that are involved, and so you can't really have perishables in a sense. What other things are there besides canned foods that you can have besides canned foods? Obviously.
Besides canned foods, that's a good question. I've only ever known canned foods to be the best option to go with when it comes
Mhm.
to taking it with you in emergency situations. But I mean, I heard Twinkies don't expire. Maybe if you want something sweet. I'm not sure, bro. I'm really not sure. I know pastries might not be the best option to go because they expire quickly. Like anything
Right,
with
right,
bread, starch, wheat, it expires very quickly and gets moldy, and that's something you don't want. Dairy, anything dairy, try to stay away from that. But you want to canned foods have everything from greens, proteins, carbs, fats, all the essential things that your body needs to keep you alive and to keep you well nourished to continue on the journey, right?
right,
So
right.
I've only ever known canned foods to be the best option. So anything else, and if anybody has any ideas, I would love to know them. So I know myself if I can take Twinkies with me on a long journey, okay?
Oh, someone actually commented beef jerky.
Yes, yes, that's also true. Yes.
I know how to cook beef jerky, so this is perfect.
Oh, bro, you gotta teach me. You gotta teach me. I love
This is perfect. I know how to cook beef jerky, so I don't have to buy it. I can just cook it. Yes.
Oh yeah, and high in protein, high in fats. It's a
Mhm.
really good option for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yes, I love the comments so much. Everyone's so active. Shout out to all of our viewers and listeners tuning in. I love how active you are in the comments right now. One person actually asked, sister Christine Tison actually asked, can you show your emergency kit? Do you happen to have it on hand?
I don't have an emergency kit on me right now. And oh my gosh, I feel bad for being called out and not being 100% ready for this. It's funny because I know where all of the items that I would need in an emergency situation are at all times because I try to stay neat and orderly, not only in my room, in my house, right? So if I do need anything, I know exactly where to go in order to get it and make an emergency kit in like less than 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. So you don't have it on you right now, but you know
I, I
exactly
don't
where it
I
is.
don't have it made, but I know exactly where all the items I would take would be. Yeah.
That's perfect. That's
I'm
perfect.
sorry.
I
I'm
like
sorry to disappoint you, sister.
Oh, no worries, no worries. But thank you so much for tuning in to our listeners and viewers, and thank you so much to our panelists for giving us a little bit of a taste on how to create an emergency kit. Thank you so much for your professionalism. Do you have
My
any shout
pleasure,
outs
brother.
that you'd like to give before we end the show?
Um, Shout out to you, bro, for inviting me on the show again. Shout out to Sister Sophia. And shout out to the local of Burlingame. Woo, 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 woo.
All right. Yeah, shout out to Burlingame as well. Shout out to San Ramon. Shout out to all of the locales in the District of Northwest California, especially the ones that are viewing our show right now. Thank you so much for continuing to gain the live comments, commenting all of your tips and ideas when it comes to the emergency kit. I hope you learned something today when we talked about emergency kits. And if you have any ideas, feel free to continue commenting, and we will be sure to look at those comments now on next week's show as well. I also like to thank our executive producer, Brother Manly Andaya, our station manager, Brother Arnel Solano, our multimedia advisor, Brother Andrew Paragas, our CFO overseer, Brother Wellwell David, our assistant district minister, Brother Renwell Del Rosario, our district minister, Brother Jojo Bayani, our SEPSI CEO and CFO coordinator, Brother Angelo Manalo, and our executive minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo. Thank you so much for allowing us to speak on this platform to talk about things that are really important when it comes to our safety and our health. Thank you so much. And we hope to see all of you next week at the same time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Next up is INC Radio Texas. So stay tuned for that. And we will see you next week.